Live from WJZ, this is an alert day.
Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Rachael J. We're cutting into programming right now because a tornado warning has been issued for parts of western Carroll County. So let's go ahead, pull up our graphics. Here's a look at radar over the last hour. Our focus is going to be on the northern sections of Maryland, north central Maryland. I'm going to zoom in just to show you and pause the radar here because that's where we're watching. That red box, that northernmost red box, that's the tornado warning for western Carroll County, and that tornado warning will continue through noon today. So we've got about 10 more minutes on this warning. However, the question with this is going to be whether or not we see another warning, because you'll notice, I'll zoom in again just so we can get some zones in here. So right now it is in Frederick County and it's moving off to the north and east at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So to get you some information on this, again, we've got a tornado warning in place for areas of Frederick as well as Carroll County until noon today. So just letting you know, that is why we are on the air right now. Again, this storm is moving at about 55 miles per hour off to the north and east. So I do want to put a track on this. I'll have to zoom out just a bit, however, just so we can get some more zones in here. Again, about 55 miles an hour. So this is a quick moving storm. So if you got the warning on your phone, maybe you have a weather radio, you got that warning, you need to get to your safe place because this thing is speeding. It's racing off to the north and east. So I'm going to put a track on this over the next 20 or so minutes. So just to give a heads up to folks in Union Bridge, in about 5 or so minutes, 11:54, this is anticipated to move into your area towards Uniontown, 11:57, Westminster just after noon, right about 2 minutes after noon or so, Arders Mill at 12:03, Bixler around 12:05, and then up towards Ebbvale around 12:09. And again, this thing is speeding through this tornado warned box. I just want to put the loop on just to show you how quickly this is moving. So right now it's only for a small sliver of Carroll County, but notice how quickly that is moving. This is the last hour, and in fact, let me stop this. I'm going to just take you through the last 15 minutes with this just to show you how quickly this is moving. So this is just 15 minutes. You see that storm is almost out of that tornado warning box, that red box, the northernmost red box. This is just the last 15 minutes. So this thing is absolutely speeding through. And if we look on a larger note, we will see that it's also included in a severe thunderstorm warning. And this severe thunderstorm warning, just to get you some information on that, again, we're looping over the last 15 minutes to show you how quickly this is moving. So this severe thunderstorm warning, this goes until 12:30. So that will take us into our new newscast here at WJZ. This warning, the severe thunderstorm warning, is for Baltimore, Carroll, Frederick County, as well as Montgomery County. And you'll notice in that black box that popped up when I queried this, tornado possible. So we do have some rotation indicated with this system, some history of rotation, I should say, that has been indicated with this line of storms that's been moving through over the last 30 or so minutes for the state of Maryland. We've been watching this, meteorologist Steve Sosna and I, over the last little bit as it's moved from Northern Virginia, this entire line, as it's moved from Northern Virginia crossing into Maryland. And now we have this tornado warning that is in place for about the next 7 or so minutes until the top of the noon hour. So that is embedded in a larger severe thunderstorm warning. That's that yellow box that you're seeing, just pausing the radar here. Going to go ahead and try to get down to street level for some of the areas that are down the line from where this storm is right now. So we're talking about areas like New Windsor, maybe Taneytown, over towards Westminster, Hampstead, just looking at the storm in a larger type of view. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, see if we can get some street names. Uniontown, go ahead and try and zoom in a little bit more, try to get some of those street names in there. If you're over towards 75, 84, 857 in Uniontown, over towards Fountain Valley, we've got Route 140, Route 832 up towards Mayberry Road around Tyrone. We're looking at Uniontown Road. That's close to 140. As we look towards Westminster, you could get some heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds with this as well. So just a heads up, you are down the line in Westminster, Uniontown, Jasontown. You're not included in the tornado warning at this point, but you need to be getting your plans in place if you don't have it already in case this is extended, which there's a good chance that it may be extended, but at the very least, you are still under a severe thunderstorm warning because of this area of storminess that has prompted a tornado warning. So even if the warning is dropped, the tornado warning, that severe thunderstorm warning will continue through the next 30 or so minutes. But we are on the air because of this tornado warning. I do want to zoom out, give you a look at the state as a whole. This is really the area that we're watching. But notice down to the south, we are still watching some areas of storminess in Virginia here. I'm going to circle it for you. That's going to be also moving off to the north and east. So just a heads up for areas of Montgomery County, Prince George's County, maybe eventually Howard and Anne Arundel counties as well. We may see some of that storminess moving into your area once we get past the top of the 12 o'clock hour. So want to head things over, if we can, looking at Max 2. Take a look at a graphic there on Max 2 as we continue to watch this storminess that's moving through. So here's the tornado watch that is in place. So the difference between a watch and a warning, the watch means that we have ingredients in place. So you need to be getting prepared. We've got conditions that are favorable for storms to rotate, for tornadoes to try and form, funnel clouds and things like that. When we have a warning in place like we do right now for Frederick and Carroll counties, that's when you need to be taking actions. The plans that you made when the watch was issued, once that warning comes out, if a warning comes out, that's when you do need to take action, put those plans into motion because there has been rotation detected within a specific storm. So here's a look at what to do, where to go in your home. Maybe you're in an apartment. Maybe you go into the hallway on the lowest level of your apartment building, away from doors and windows. So anywhere that is highlighted in the green, an interior closet, the hallway, maybe a bathroom, but definitely if you have a basement, that would be the best option. Again, get away from windows and doors. Turn the TV up. We have an app that we will be streaming on. The app, you can take that with your phone and you can listen to the coverage as we're watching these storms through the day today. So it's going to be, right now we're watching a tornado warning, a couple of tornado warnings, but we have the chance for more storms to be strong to severe later this afternoon going into the evening. Again, places you want to go: interior hallway, interior closet, maybe the stairs. Bathroom is also a great option, but if you have a basement, that is the best place for you to go when we do have tornado warnings that are in place as we do right now. Keeping an eye on this warning over on Max 1. This is set to expire at 12 o'clock, but it's 11:57. I'm going to zoom in and show you. This is almost completely out of that warning box. The front edge of this area of storminess is now moving through Taneytown, Westminster. It's on your western doorstep, your back doorstep right now. So we'll see if they do extend this tornado warning. I do want to look at the rotation within the storm right now to see if we do have some of that going on. So it does look like we've got a little bit of differentiating winds here within this warning, still within the warning box, which I do have up in that deep red line. I'm going to highlight it very quickly just to show you where I'm looking as far as the tornado warning box. So that's highlighted, but some of the areas that may need to watch for, I'm going to point to this here, if I can find my pointer tool, is going to be this area right here over towards Oak Orchard. We've got some winds being detected there around that looks like 31. I'm going to zoom into this just to see if I can get some street names on that. So that looks like Clemsonville Road around Route 31. If you're in the Oldfield, Clemsonville area, this is right on top of you. So you need to be in your safe space right now. As we're looking off to the north and east, New Windsor, Route 31, you are down the line from this if it continues to move to the northeast. And this, again, is moving very quickly, about 55 miles per hour for this storm as we continue to monitor this tornado warning until noon. And I want to zoom out because there was a tornado warning down to the south for areas of Montgomery County, right up against the Howard County line in Montgomery County. That doesn't look as concerning as the one for Carroll County. But again, we do have this tornado warning for Montgomery County that is also tornado warning, yes, for Montgomery County. That also will go until noon. So we've got about a minute or so on these. Want to zoom out. Let's reset the radar for the Maryland State view. And just to show you more of the radar colors that you might be used to seeing with this, put a loop on it for the last hour. You see these storms, they are speeding. And we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning that's in place for Frederick, Montgomery, parts of Howard, Carroll, and Baltimore counties. A little bit of lightning being detected just over the state line in Pennsylvania, but we're going to be more concerned with what the winds are doing within this storm. And it does look like we have a new warning that is in place for areas of Howard and Carroll County. So again, a new tornado warning. That warning that we were talking about, the two that were supposed to expire at 12, they have been dropped. But now down to the south, we have a brand new tornado warning. Again, this is for Howard as well as Carroll County. So let's get some information on this. And I'm also going to pause the radar just to keep things a little bit more steady and we can get our bearings with this. So this tornado warning for Carroll and Howard County, this will continue through 12:15. So we have 15 minutes on this new tornado warning for Carroll and Howard County. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just to see what roads we are looking at. We also have meteorologist Steve Sosna in studio, keeping an eye on the National Weather Service chat, as well as taking his own look at the radar as well. And these storms for the new tornado warning moving northeast at 35 miles an hour. So I'll need to adjust that when we do put a track on this. But we're looking at Newport, Lisbon, Gaither, Barrett. Included in this, parts of Route 97, Hoods Mill Road is downstream from this, White Rock Road as we're looking into Carroll County. Also included in this, Obrecht Road, Sykesville. You are in this tornado warning until 12:15. Dorsey's Crossroads, Pickett's Corner over towards Streaker Road, Woodbine Road also included at this. So I want to take a look here at the winds again, because what we're looking for with the tornado warnings, winds that are moving in opposite directions, very close to each other, or maybe just some winds that are moving very fast next to some winds maybe not as fast. We could possibly see some rotation there as well. So again, I've got the tornado warning. I'm going to highlight that so you see where we're looking. Now, looking at this, these winds don't appear to be quite as strong, but I don't want you to hear that and relax. We're in a tornado warning. We need to get to our safe place immediately. This is Carroll and Howard County, a little south from areas like Westminster, which we were watching for that earlier warning, but that was dropped. So now our concern heads to this region, including areas like Gaither, Lisbon, Barrett, Sykesville, all included in that. Does include parts of Route 70 at this hour. Again, this is moving at about 35 miles an hour, so not quite as fast as the other storm. Looking at something called the correlation coefficient, just to see if there's something being thrown up in the atmosphere. Once again, I'm going to highlight the warning just so you can kind of keep an eye on the region that I'm watching here as well. Again, meteorologist Steve Sosna also here in studio helping out with that. So what we're going to look for is some of those warmer colors surrounding or very close to kind of a ball of those blue colors. That would indicate that maybe we have something being thrown up by a tornado if a tornado is actually on the ground. There's at least some rotation being detected by the radar, and that's why we do have this warning in place. But right now, I'm not necessarily seeing that, which is great news. So that is definitely some good news. And again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning.
Sorry to interrupt you, Rachael.
Yep.
There is a new tornado warning just to the north up in Westminster, near Westminster. So a new warning that is also in effect until 12:15.
So that's an extension, Steve, of the one that we came on the air for originally. So Westminster, you are now included in a tornado warning. So we do have a pair of warnings. And what I'm going to do, put it back on the more familiar radar look and zoom out just a bit to show you these two tornado warnings, one in Carroll County, still also including parts of Frederick County, and then south in Carroll County. We also do have a second tornado warning that is currently in place.
The storm in northern Carroll County is also moving at 35. So the track that you used for the Howard County storm should also work for the Carroll County one.
Okay, thank you so much, Steve. Really appreciate that. Just to put things in perspective here, 12:03, so we are officially into what would be our noon newscast. Just want to show you the pair of tornado warnings that we have in place. Carroll, parts of eastern Frederick County, southern Carroll County, as well as some areas of Howard County are all included in these pair of tornado warnings. Also encompassed in a larger severe thunderstorm warning. And that severe thunderstorm warning, it has what's called tornado possible tag. So we knew that this storm, this line of storms, had the history of some rotating winds, some spinning winds within it. So the National Weather Service kind of gave that heads up that potential is there for some of these storms to rotate. So let us clear this off. Just to show you again, pair of tornado warnings. We have a couple of tornado warnings right now in place for Carroll County. So I do want to put a track on this. And as Steve mentioned, these storms are moving at 35 miles an hour. So not quite as quickly as the original warning that we came on the air for, but still moving pretty quickly. And these are moving off to the north and east at 35. So I do want to put a track on this storm down to the south. As we go through the next, let's go 20 or so minutes, we do have to keep an eye on areas like Hoods Mill, 12:10, Eldersburg, 12:15, Carroll Highlands, 12:20, Glen Falls, 12:22, and Chevette's Corner around 12:23. Let me just lift this up so you can see it on top of the banner, just going through about the next 15 to 20 minutes, some areas that we may need to watch out for in case this warning is also extended off to the north and east.
And Rachael, just to note that severe thunderstorm warning, it kind of changed colors before your eyes. A lot of colors on this map, so it's hard to tell, but they've tagged this as a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, which means that instead of base winds of 60 miles per hour, 70 mile per hour winds are possible with this storm as it moves to the north and east. So not only is the tornado warned storm dangerous in itself, the straight line wind damage can produce tornado-like damage with 70 mile per hour gusts.
Yeah, and Steve, we were talking about, over the weekend and this morning, the different types of threats that we have with this first area storms and then another chance for some stronger storms a little later in the day. Damaging wind, that threat was very elevated. Of course, we have the elevated threat for a few tornadoes today as well, but that wind threat was certainly greater across the area. And we didn't want to downplay the wind threat because we also had the tornado threat for today.
Also interesting to note that the line of storms, so we have the tornado warnings, those tornado warned storms are moving at 35 miles per hour. Of note, the whole line of storms is moving at 80 miles per hour. At 80 miles per hour. So that doesn't give you a lot of time to take shelter. So it's important if you are in that warning to please get in the lowest floor of your home and away from windows.
And we're taking a live look now from an NDOT camera. This is I-70 at exit 68, which is Maryland 27. So we're looking at I-70 East. Again, this is at exit 68, Maryland 27. And as Steve mentioned, the line of storms is moving at 80 miles an hour, but individual storms may have slightly differing speeds. And I want to just zoom out to look a little farther to the south because we were mentioning some of those storms in Virginia. We still do have an area that is moving through parts of Montgomery County off to the north and east with this entire line. Not warned just yet, but we'll keep an eye on that down to the south for our friends who may be south of the current area of tornado warnings as well as severe thunderstorm warnings. But right now our focus as far as some of these stronger storms for the late morning heading into the early afternoon is going to be this northern area where we do have a pair of tornado warnings. That's the red box. And then we also have a larger severe thunderstorm warning, as Steve mentioned, has been upgraded for projected intensity. We could see straight line winds of 70 miles per hour with this larger area, this severe thunderstorm warning. So we don't want to downplay that threat either. So that goes until 12:30. That's warning. It was in place, but then it was upgraded because we could see some stronger winds as this line pretty much races through areas of Baltimore County, Baltimore City, the far northwestern corner is included in that. We've got that considerable threat for the risk of 70 miles an hour wind, and we do also have the potential for a few of these individual cells to rotate, so a tornado is possible in this area. I want to put the loop back on just to show you the last hour. These storms are absolutely racing through parts of northern Maryland, and again, we're going to watch the areas to the south just in case we do see that intensity try to tick up as well. But a pair of tornado warnings is in place until 12:15. So I'm going to look once again at something that's called the correlation coefficient. This shows us where maybe something is looking a little bit different. It's a different size than the things around it, which at this point would be raindrops. So if there's like a larger piece of debris that's being detected around the rain that is coming down. And when we look at the northernmost tornado warning that is currently in place, we're not seeing that right now, which is great news. That is what we would like to see, is that we don't have that debris ball signature, quote unquote, that is showing up there. As we look to the south, not necessarily seeing it, especially in the southwestern part of this warning, but possibly a little something different being shown off to areas of Barrett, not necessarily that full 100% certainty of a debris ball signature, but we've got some reds close to some yellows and greens, so something to watch there. Looking at the winds within the storm right now, again, not showing all that much. Let's head over to this mode of the velocity, which shows us the winds within the storm, and then putting that warning back on just so you can see the area that we're watching. Not really seeing too much with this southern storm, and then looking off to the north, not too much there. I'm going to go back to the original velocity. Some stronger winds certainly being detected here. Steve, are you seeing anything on your end?
Yeah, so the National Weather Service has been very transparent with us, which is always a good thing. It's a two-way line of communication back and forth, and our meteorologist friend Eric Taylor describing that a cycling is happening. So what you're describing is spot on right now, is that the storm at times looks like it's producing a tornado, and then other times it kind of loosens up a little bit. But the issue is that the spin in the atmosphere is still there. So even after it kind of unwraps itself, it wraps itself back up again. And so they're still watching this cycling, and so likely that they're going to continue to issue tornado warnings in 15-minute increments just to cover this. These aren't your long-track supercells that we're talking about in Oklahoma. These are your very fast spin-ups that we've been talking about, Rachael, because there's just so much wind energy in the atmosphere.
Yeah, and we have multiple things that are kind of going to feed these storms for right now and then a little later on in the afternoon. We've got a few ingredients that are in place. You stepped outside today, or even you just woke up in your home and you noticed it's a bit muggy out there. So we've got elevated dew points, elevated levels of moisture in the atmosphere right now, and storms that they feed on that moisture that we do have in place. So that is certainly something that we want to keep in mind, is that we do have storm fuel in place for today. We're going to have a cold front that moves through. That's something else that can fire off some stronger storms as well, is going to be not only the storm fuel in the form of moisture, but also the fact that that cold front is eventually going to move through a little bit later today. And what you're seeing here is I'm just looping through the winds over the last hour with the storm. As Steve was mentioning, we got a cycling happen. So there may be some bursts of rotation or some stronger energy, and then it kind of pulses back down, and then it wants to pulse back up and pulse back down. We've got a pair of tornado warnings in place until 12:15. It is 12:12 now. We're taking a look at I-70 once again. Exit 76, and this is in Howard County. Exit 76, I-70, and you see we do have that rain that is coming down there on I-70. So as you're heading out, whether or not you're in a tornado or a severe thunderstorm warning, it's lunchtime. Folks may be trying to head out, grab a quick bite to eat. Just know that we've got heavy rain, some strong winds possible, as well as we're looking through these storms. And Steve, what are you seeing here?
Yeah, so we have different tools, obviously, that we're using in the Weather Center. It looked like that couple, it was pretty tight there, just south of Woodbine there for a little while, and then has kind of loosened up a little bit. So we'll continue to watch it cycling here. But the main story is that even if you're not getting a tornado with this, you could easily be getting 60, 70 mile per hour winds. Just kind of reset you. It's 12:13 on a Monday afternoon. A lot of people like to step out for lunch at this time. We actually have kids probably coming home from school at this time. Not a great situation happening right now. So, we advise you that if you are in a situation where you see the ominous clouds and also you hear the winds and the rain, to just stay where you are, to not get out and go out and about in this. It is moving very quickly, so it will not be over any given spot for any huge length of time. But this is a very fast and dangerous line of storms, and we know that these things can produce strong winds just by their forward speed alone. 80-mile-per-hour trajectory can obviously bring some of those winds down close to the ground. So even if you're not in the tornado warning in portions of Carroll and Howard County, I would treat it like a tornado by getting inside and away from windows and to the lowest portion of your house.
Yeah, and if we could take a look at the harbor cam, just noticing how quickly these clouds are moving, kind of to what Steve is saying, we have got some fast moving weather that is going through our areas. So Steve mentioned it's not going to be over any one particular area for a long period of time. This is moving very quickly through areas of Carroll County. And let me look down towards Howard County. We just took that live look from I-70. I believe that was around exit 76. So we also are taking a look at, this is Mobile 13. And if someone could just let us know where this is and where they're heading. You can also notice some of those quick moving clouds that are overhead. They are from our weather vehicle that is heading out into the storms that we're going to be monitoring here through the lunch hour.
If there's any good news, Rochelle, I have not seen, and it's still early yet, I haven't seen a whole lot of damage reports out of Carroll or Howard County. That being said, these storms have just crossed the area, but they do have a history of producing wind damage down in northern Virginia, especially Albemarle County has significant tree damage down there. So that's the same storm that you and I, we were both in our 9 a.m. meeting together. We were looking at the storm. We said, this storm doesn't look good. And right around noon, we thought that this would be an issue. And here we are at 12:15 with severe thunderstorm warnings. It looks like they have dropped the tornado warning for now.
They have for now. So we're taking a look there on Reisterstown Road in Northwest Baltimore. We've got Mobile 13 out. Again, this is Reisterstown Road. We've got the cloud cover that is overhead, but right now the city of Baltimore is quiet. These storms are off to the north and west, eventually crossing through into Baltimore County, but we do have some very heavy rainfall around the Hampstead area. Heads up to Reisterstown over towards some areas of western Baltimore County, just to show you where this is going to be heading over towards 795. Eldersburg, that heavy rain coming down right now in your area. Let me pause the radar. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in place for the risk of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, as well as the potential for maybe some of these individual storms to rotate. We could see some rotation with some of these storms. This line does have history of rotating storms in Virginia and even right here in Maryland. We've seen a little bit of that rotation on the radar, but at this point for the state of Maryland, this is the only area that does have a warning. We're looking at Carroll County and the western half of Baltimore County, pretty much from I-83. If you live west of I-83 or north of the Beltway in Baltimore County, you are under this warning, although it may just be a little bit breezy, a couple of raindrops coming down in some parts of 83. Just know that we do have this line that is continuing to move off to the north and east.
If you guys could take the tower cam, our tower cam that's actually sitting right on top of our transmitter outside, you can kind of see what's going on here. The low clouds that are kind of hugging the ground. And when you get severe weather, particularly the tornado threat, it's very typical that you see clouds, and you can almost see the spin in the atmosphere from this picture right now of how the winds are turning with height. And so that's why we have the rotation, a broad rotation with some of these thunderstorms. But that's also why some of these storms can spin up very quickly as this broad area of rotation that you're kind of seeing tightens up from time to time. So this is, I believe, looking north and northwest out over there, but you can see that the clouds are kind of hugging the ground, and we call this the LCL. The LCLs are very low, which means that basically these clouds can hug the ground and can spin up a tornado pretty quickly, Rochelle. Yeah,
so we're also, if we could take a quick live look at the Outback, just to show how the winds here on TV Hill are picking up in the Woodbury neighborhood of Baltimore City. Although the radar is quiet right now, And those reeds are landscaping. You can see we've got a little bit of it actually on the ground here, and you're noticing a wind gust now coming through here on top of TV Hill. Not severe level, but even outside of the severe thunderstorm risk that we have in place for today, we also do have a wind advisory for a decent portion of our area. So some non-thunderstorm wind gusts could reach as high as about 40 miles an hour for today. So just know, even though it may look quiet, we still do have the threat for some gusty winds to move through outside of any thunderstorm activity.
And so far, the National Weather Service is still watching the circulation. It's prevalent, but no imminent tornado warning just yet. But basically, if you live in Baltimore County, if you live in eastern Carroll County, more so I would say Baltimore County, the way this line is moving very quickly, you got to watch out for quick spin up. So there isn't a lot of lead time that we have to give you from when the warning is issued to the potential tornado. These wrap up very quickly, and they also, if there's any good news, they wrap up quickly, can produce a tornado, but then they wind down pretty quickly as well. But the problem is, for that few minutes that it may be on the ground, you don't get a lot of lead time. So it's really important that you stay with us here with this evolving situation throughout the course of the afternoon hours, as even though we're under just a severe thunderstorm warning, a new tornado warning, as we've seen this morning, Rochelle, can just pop out within seconds.
It can. And Steve mentioned, you know, these storms, they can try to rotate very quickly and then stop, and then may try to rotate again. So what we're looking at here is the velocity or the winds within the storm itself. Anything in the red, they are driving in front of you. They've got those red lights, they're driving away from you. The green moving toward the radar side, which at this vantage point is down in Sterling, Virginia. So we do have some winds that are moving away from the radar and some winds that are moving toward. So we are going to monitor this severe thunderstorm warning as well as the greater line of storms for this round, as well as around a little later in the afternoon. But at this point, just to go ahead and wrap things up, since we do not have any active tornado warnings in place, just to show you, here's a look at first alert radar 1220. We still have some storms well down to the south that we'll monitor as we go through this early afternoon. But of course, we'll keep an eye on everything from the First Alert Weather Center. Severe warnings, tornado warnings. We'll keep you updated right here on WJZ.